Coming up in this video, a barren land turns into a thriving paradise, a volcano becomes extinct, and some shrimp climb mountains. But before all that, we have to go back to the very beginning. This is a 40 by 25 by 28 cm glass aquarium which I've ordered from my local supplier. I'll leave links to all the materials down below. This tank also makes use of a simple hang on the back filter which I picked up for 10 bucks, which is really affordable. I'll talk more about the filters later on once the tank has been set up. As for the lighting, I've opted for a clip-on 8-watt light, which is more than sufficient for a medium-sized tank like this. I'm going to keep this really simple and start with the Hardscape. Here are the items I'm going to be using. I got some aquatic saw, expanding foam, serine rocks, and glue. I also have some special lava rocks come in the mail, so I definitely couldn't leave those out. Of course, we can simulate an actual volcano blowing up to create the volcano shape, so I'm going to use the lava rocks to form the base layer. The idea here is to slope the outer section of the rocks to create that mountain look. To hold the rocks together, I'll be using the cyanoacrylate super glue, which is both quick to dry and safe for the fishes. I also use some water to quicken the process of drying as the water evaporates, activating the glue. Once that is done, I used a can of black expanding foam I got from the store to fill in the core. Whilst the foam is expanding, I decide to fill in the surrounding areas with some of these dark serine rocks. I also use these two rocks to build a mini cave section which will give the shrimps a little hiding place. Like before, I'm going to use my trusty super glue to create a strong bond between the rocks. Once this is dry, it will be both strong and safe for the shrimps, which we'll add in later. Do make sure your super glue is cyanoacrylate based though, as this ensures the adhesive cannot react with anything in the water once it's cured. The foam has now had some time to expand, and before it solidifies, I'm going to cut out the sides to give it its sloping shape. I used a small razor blade to cut the excess off to give it a more natural look. To give the volcano an extinct look, I'll have to plant in some plants at the crater of the volcano. To do this, I'll need a place to add in the aqua salt I'll be using. I got my trusty razor and got to work, carving out just a small semicircle in the top. I made it about 3 cm deep so that the plants won't float away when I plant them in later on. Next, I added in some gravel to the bottom. This will give the inhabitants a different place to forage for food. I love evening out the gravel with this spade from my sandcastle set, but honestly, any tool with a flat edge will do the trick. If you're really on a budget, take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and you are good to go. I'm going to fill up the tank halfway to make planting a little easier. With the tank filled up just covering the top of the volcano, bubbles started coming out from the air pockets within the lava rock. I think it's so cool as it looks like a real volcano, just casually bubbling away. To begin, I'm going to use some Monte Carlo I had lying around in my other tanks. I made some cuttings by cutting up the plants into a few mini portions which I can easily plant into the aquasol. Planting may be frustrating, but it's really not that difficult and its success lies in your technique. I used an angle tweezer and placed the plant's end 2/3 of the way, ensuring the metal section is able to dig a hole in the substrate. Then, I firmly placed the plant into the soil, released the plant, and used my tweezers to jiggle it about. This encourages the substrate to fill in the gaps and prevent the plant from floating up. After planting every piece, I move on to my next plant, the Hygrophila pinnatifida. Sometimes other plants might float up, but that's okay. Just replant it back using the same technique. With the planting out of the way, I filled up the rest of the tank. It is now time to focus on the filtration. This is the hang on the back filter which I'll be using. I situated the filter carefully on the right panel to keep it out of view and also to provide water flow from the right to left side. This filter sucks water out from the pipe using the motor and allows gravity to pull it through the black sponge filter before going back into the tank. It is complete with a strainer to stop shrimps from getting sucked in, and it also has a valve to control the filter flow. I switched on the filter and the filter sprang to life. You might need to manually scoop the tank water to help kickstart your filter. This tank is rated at 280 liters per hour, which is more than sufficient for this tank. I left it alone and let the tank cycle in before adding the shrimps. Cycling the tank is important because it supports the growth of beneficial bacteria, essential for a healthy tank. It has been about a week since this tank had been set up. The plant in the volcanic crater has grown in just a tiny bit more, and I really like how the foam, lava rocks, and serri rocks work together. It is now time for the livestock. I got these new cardinal shrimps from my local pet store. They include 6 orange fillet as well as some golden-back shrimps. They felt right at home in the tank, starting to eat the biofilm on the gravel. A couple of them were also really loving the cave within the volcano. Leave a comment if you enjoy builds like this and let me know what builds you'd like to see in the future. If you enjoyed the video, do leave a like and subscribe for content like this every Monday.